The Ridgeway Review with Just Dapper starts right now. Senate committee fails. Department of State Revitalization Act. Secretary of State. Jason Bourne Axis has choiced words for Senator Japan 2S. Enola pandemic under control. Lieutenant Governor mandatory morale acquitted on one felony count of obstruction of justice and on one misdemeanor of failure to comply. Within code passed by Senate and has been sworn in as the Ridgeway County Fire Chief. Governor Matrix Ock, Adjutant General Brandon Love, and Brigadier General Royalty Sin have filed a motion to dismiss criminal charges. And now live from the Palmer Times studio in Palmer Ridgeway. It's the Ridgeway Review, hosted by Just Dapper.
All right, folks, we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Ridgeway Review on the Palmer Times with your host, me, Just Dapper. First up, we have Senator Japan _2S and Secretary of State Jason Bourne Axis. They were fighting over Bill S6-32, also known as the Department of State Revitalization Act. You may be asking yourself, what did it do? Well, for the most part, the law did what it said it was. However, Senator Japan believes Jason attempted to have things snuck into the bill that she did not approve. Jason Bourne attacked her position as captain of the National Guard on popular social media website Sonorous, stating, "She should pay for the mental health care of our troops now." Jason Bourne also said, "I don't give up that easy. I'm sorry to be the first male to tell you." Very, very controversial. End quote. Well, it appears that Senator Japan 2S felt sorry in some way because it is rumored she is currently revising the law to be the law that she would vote for. This isn't surprising at all. Ridgeway businesses such as Certified Security, SPS, Sonorous, Clark Mall, and the Milton Regional Tax Association, and so many other companies have publicly displayed their support of the law. Here are the Ridgeway Review at the Palmer Times. We will keep you updated on the status of this situation. Last Thursday, Ridgeway saw its first ever outbreak, the Ebola pandemic. Originating off of a plane flight from a tourist from the Democratic Republic of Congo, hundreds were affected by the virus, but thanks to the Ridgeway County Fire Department, we were able to control it. Residents across the state were able to take the care required and take appropriate countermeasures. Almost as soon as the virus is detected, Surgeon General Mandatory Morale immediately released a press statement declaring a public health emergency. About 2 hours later, the order was removed and the virus was deemed to be under control. Last week, owner of the Palmer Times and President Pro Tem, Timbawalk, contracted the virus. Timbawalk was in critical condition as stated last week, but he was released from the hospital 1 day later and was present for a Senate session just 2 days later. Pharmaceutical company Pinkerton & Pinkerton has also released the vaccine for the Ebola pandemic, and they have also released their new gadget, the Ebolometer, which I've actually brought on set with me today. The Ebolometer functions similarly to a breathalyzer. An individual simply has to blow into the tube, and it will give you their reading. If it is positive, the light will flash. Back to Senator Timbawalk. On Saturday at the Senate session, he had to evict Senator Impeachment from the chambers. How did this happen? Senator Vince Vant and Impeachment were disputing S6-26, the Warning Limitation Act. Timbawalk requested that both senators sit down so the session could continue. After about 2 requests, Senator Vince Vant sat down. Senator Impeachment, however, was continuing his quarrels. Pro Temp Timbawalk ordered the Sergeant-at-Arms to remove the senator, and in 5 seconds, he did not comply. Therefore, he was removed forcefully by the Sergeant-at-Arms. The Senate no longer had quorum after this dispute and was forced to adjourn. The President Pro Tem believes that this session would have never ended the way would have never ended if he didn't do what he did. Recently, on Saturday, March 25th, Lieutenant Governor Mandatory Morale was acquitted on 1 count of obstruction of justice and 1 county of failure to comply in a ruling released by one and only site owner. After a motion, the ruling concludes a multitude of things that we don't have time to summarize at this time. Okay. However, we wanted to talk about how the Attorney General, Techley, publicly expressed his disappointment with the courts, whilst at the same time throwing backlash at Lieutenant Governor Mandatory Morale. Mandatory Morale responded to this message by saying he looks forward to continue working with the people of Ridgeway. However, he does disagree with the AG's comments, as his case was, quote, rightly thrown off, end quote, by the courts. Lieutenant Governor finished off by saying he hopes he can set their differences aside and work together protectively in the future. With us now, we have Lieutenant Governor Mandatory Morale. With us now, we have Lieutenant Governor Mandatory Morale. We now have an exclusive interview with Governor Mandatory Morale. Mr. Morale, hello? Seems like we're having some technical errors on Mr. Morale's end. We'll give him a few moments. If not, we'll have to move on to the next segment and come back to him later. This is very unfortunate. Please stay with us as we work through these errors. Alright, unfortunately, I'm going to be moving on to the next segment if this does not clear up very soon. Let's talk about Governor Matrix's legal battles. Last night, the Supreme Court denied the Special Counsel's appeal. However, the Special Counsel sees this as good news. Mr. Matrix has dropped his civil lawsuit against the Special Counsel. However, since the governor, along with his co-defendants, Brigadier General Royalty Sin and Adjutant General Brandon Love, have filed a motion to dismiss their criminal charges. Right after this program, the Palmer Times will be going live in the courtroom for this hearing. Mr. Morale, do you read me?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I've got everything to work now.
Mr. Morale, welcome to the Palmer Times. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking. Let's get down to business. How are you feeling about your victory in your recent case? Do you feel like a weight has been lifted off your back?
Well, I wouldn't just say it's a victory for me. I'd just say it's a victory for the justice system of our state. Um, it's a very saddening day when you see individuals like the Attorney General of our state weaponizing our justice system for their own personal means, and it's very great to see that justice still does exist in our state. That's why I asked to do this interview outside the county hall in our county courthouse, because justice still has a place in our state, and I'm very confident in the ability of our court system to effectively deliver that justice.
Very interesting. And who do you have standing behind you?
Yeah, of course. These are some concerned citizens, obviously. A senator, actually. Many individuals in our state have expressed outcry at the political actions taken by Attorney General Techie and the flagrant misuse of his office. And it's very good to see that, even in this small server at this odd hour, we still have some citizens out here trying to make their voice heard and trying to express their discontent at the actions of the Attorney General.
You say the Attorney General has weaponized the DOJ. Could you go more into that for me?
Yeah, of course. I mean, just speaking on my personal case experience, not a single time in history had any individual ever been charged for anything regarding to an exit search. It's always been a squarely policy matter handled by administrative courts. It's not a crime, and that's what the court agreed with me in. And what happened was not a crime. And Mr. Techie on multiple occasions said I was going to jail, said he'd be seeing me in jail, and just made it really seem that he was out to get me. He was out to come after me, which isn't something the Attorney General should be doing, isn't something that the Attorney General should be propagating. The Attorney General is supposed to be a figure that's there to enforce the laws of our state, not an individual who's just there for his own personal political gain. And again, I'm really glad the courts saw it the right way and dismissed the matter fully.
You bring up a lot about Mr. Techie. What are your opinions on Attorney General Techie at this moment?
Well, at this moment, I mean, regardless of the past that we shared, I think both of us are public servants, and even though I squarely disagree with a lot of the actions Mr. Techie has taken with his Department of Justice, he's still an elected official. The people still elected him, and
Goodness gracious! What a bloodbath!
goodness gracious.
Ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen,
thank you.
please sit with us for this momentary ad break while we be right with you in just a moment.
Yes. Yeah, that's clearly Techie's alt right there. Okay, I'm back. Here we are.
Apologies about that short intermission. We have had some life-threatening altercations happen on Mr. Morale's end. Let's move on to the next question. How do you feel about the current justice system in this moment after your prosecution?
Well, I'd say that I'm very confident in our court system. So clearly, the judiciary is working the way it is. We have cases being processed. We've recently appointed some new judges. I'm actually working with the Senate right now to confirm derogatory to be a judge of the magistrate court. I'm also communicating actively with members of the judiciary. So as of right now, we're actually working to impose new sentencing guidelines alongside the judiciary. The one concern, though, that other citizens have expressed to me and that I've seen firsthand is the function of the grand jury system in Ridgeway as a whole. So grand juries, if you read about it, if you read the opinions of the United States Supreme Court, they're not just meant to be the sword of the Department of Justice. They're also meant to be the shield of the people. They're meant to push back against overreach of the Department of Justice. They're meant to shield the people from unjust prosecutions, like the one I was experienced to. And I feel currently the grand jury system
Goodness
gives incredible
gracious! Our
autonomy.
cameraman has just been shot to death within the studio. Please stand by while we
Proves,
have a short intermission.
Oh, okay. Um, everything good?
Everything is good. I am in safe condition. However, our cameraman has deceased.
That's a shame. That's clearly
This is
another
quite the shame.
deep state operative right there. Yeah, as I was saying, the grand jury system does need a rework because it should not just be a source for techie and Justice Department prosecutors to get infinite subpoenas and to have rubber stamping on everything they do. A grand jury at its core should not only be the sword of the Department of Justice, but the shield of the people. Its purpose to protect the people from unjust prosecutions. So I do feel some work has to be done in that way to make the grand jury system more transparent and to make it clear that the grand jury isn't just some rubber stamper for prosecutors, but an actual agency of our state, body of our state, that is, that's meant to protect people, that's meant to protect citizens. So no other citizen has to go through the same experience I did.
Very interesting. There's also another important court case going around and pertains to the office of the governor. Governor Matrix currently being prosecuted. What is your take on that?
Well, I myself right now, I'm focusing more on the work of governing the people of the state. So I'm focusing more on the things that we're doing with the senators. I'm focusing more on working to pass new legislation, working with department heads. I would say, though, that I would advise the public to be skeptical of anything coming out of the Department of Justice right now, especially after my action was dismissed. But I don't know enough about his case to comment specifically on that.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Quit pointing that at people! Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just had a bit of a technical error here in the studio. Continue, Mr. Morale.
No, that was all I had to say.
Very inspiring words. Do you have anything you would like to say to the Palmer Times?
Well, I'd like to address this more to the people of the state than the Palmer Times. Just to say that the Senate is going to work. We're going to work to do what we were elected to do, which is serve the people. We're going to work getting what we were elected to do, which is hold departments accountable. We're getting elected to do what we're doing, which is our jobs. We're holding confirmation hearings, we're holding sessions, we're working for the people. It was a shame that this happened in this whole ordeal with this indictment, but I'm extremely glad that the court system got it right, and I'm extremely glad that, um, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I'm glad that Mr. Techie was taken down a peg, and it's been made clear to him explicitly by the courts that he's not a god of the justice system, and that he can't just go around prosecuting whoever he wants to.
Very hot take. Speaking of the Senate, many people claim it is inactive, and developer oversight recently got involved after two accused, allegedly inactive senators were expelled. Developer oversight reversed the expulsion. What is your take on this, and do you believe the Senate is inactive?
Well, an issue that's been existent in many different senates, Fourth Senate, Fifth Senate, beyond, has been that it's difficult to find a time for all senators to meet. And I do applaud Senator Vince Vant for taking action to try to do what he thought was right to make our Senate work. But I do also think it's important to work with all senators. All senators obviously were elected by the people for a reason. And I do hope that we can work more effectively for the people of the state. I'm not going to call out any specific names, but there have been obviously some senators that have been more lacking in their attendance. And I do feel it's important that, you know, all senators uphold the commitment to their office they were elected to do. So the Senate is functioning normally. We are hosting sessions, we are doing committee meetings, but I do feel that, you know, with the involvement of some more individuals in the Senate, we could be doing a lot more.
And what do you have to say to those inactive senators if they were watching right now?
Well, I kind of just said it. We're all elected here. We're all here to do the work for the people of the state. So it's our job. We have to step up. We have to do our work. And if you can't do it, get out of the way and let someone else do it.
Interesting. While many people just are outright not showing up to the Senate, there are a few problem causers who are showing up to the Senate. Mr. Mandatory, what do you think about Senator Impeachment and his recent expulsions from the chambers?
Could you turn on which one specifically?
The most recent one.
I don't believe I was present at that most recent one. That was Mr. Timberwalk presiding, if I recall correctly.
Which one were you presiding over? Give me an opinion on that one.
Yeah, of course. So, well, the method of expelling a senator from the floor is obviously not something that's taken lightly, but it's just a mean to uphold the decorum of the Senate floor, because if we're all yelling at each other, screaming, nothing really gets done. So I can't really comment specifically on that because I actually don't remember much about. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness gracious! Clearly another techie deep state agent right there trying to silence the people. What a shame.
Goodness gracious.
Goodness gracious me. Oh, there we go. Thank you to our fire department for taking care of that individual.
All right, Mr. Mandatory. Well, thank you for being on. And speaking of the fire department, there has been a significant amount of activity for them this week. Mr. Within Code
Yes.
has been sworn in by Taxes Aren't Awesome as fire chief on March 23rd, hours after being confirmed by the Ridgeway State Senate. However, his nomination vote was not unanimous. Senator Impeachment voted to nay on it because, quote, he doesn't like Within Code because of recent incidents in the past. With us now, we have Within Code, the fire chief of the Ridgeway County Fire Department, with an exclusive interview. With us now, we have Mr. Within Code for an exclusive interview. Mr. Within Code, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. How do you feel about this recent nomination and being sworn in as the new fire chief?
I feel pretty good about it. Obviously, I feel a little bad for the previous fire chief, who had a bit of an interesting situation with having him have to be resigned from fire chief. He stepped down to firefighter, but we're still happily have him on the force. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited. We have a lot of great plans for the state and for Ridgeway Fire Department. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Very interesting. And what do you have to say to the person who made your vote in the Senate, Senator Impediage?
I don't really have any like bad blood with him or anything like that. We've talked about it, and I'm not exactly sure where we stand, but I'm not like upset with him or anything. I understand it's all just a game and it's all politics, but he had his reasons, and he's made those clear to me. So
Goodness gracious, the new studio just got shot up! I am dead.
you might need some better security on that studio.
Alright, anyways. Mr. Within Code, what are your plans for the future of FD?
We got a lot of good stuff coming in the works. Not a ton I can comment on right now, as some of it is still in the more early stages, obviously, as I was just very recently confirmed as fire chief. But I can say that you won't have to, anyone interested in applying to FD will not have to wait too long. While the current academy class is finally coming to a close, we do have plans in the very near future to have another intake happen. So look out for that if you're interested.
Alright. Speaking of the current academy cast, how would you say it's going? Do you have faith in them to faithfully execute their duties? And many people think that there is not enough room. Do you think you'll be opening up a third firefighting unit?
I doubt we'll be opening up a third firefighting unit. Honestly, if it becomes a really dire circumstance, we can always just increase the size of the current companies by maybe 5 each. But honestly, I'm fairly happy with the quality of candidates that we have in this intake, and I'm looking forward to see what they do.
Just under a week ago, Ebola ravaged the streets of Ridgeway. Brought to us by Patient Zero, a tourist from the Democratic Republic of Congo. What was your involvement in this situation, and how did you collaborate with the Attorney General? A Surgeon General.
Well, I was personally on scene fairly quickly after initial reports came in, and I was there for the rest of the time. When it was still developing at the airport, I was there. And I work closely with the Surgeon General on many things, as he is technically an employee of the fire department. So yeah, we have a good working relationship, and I'm very happy with how quickly and effectively the Surgeon General Mandatory Morale handled everything, and he received a medal for meritorious service for his actions on that day.
Very meritorious indeed. What do you think about the official Pinkerton and Pinkerton anti-Ebola vaccination?
I've seen some of the early reports, and I have no comment on this time.
Interesting. Do you have anything else you would like to tell the people?
If you're interested in joining fire department, we'd love to have you. Obviously, as you stated before, we have a little bit of issues with space right now, but they're going to be solved in no time. We got a lot of spots for a lot of people, so we're looking forward to anyone who's interested in applying.
All right, Mr. Code. Well, thank you for being on tonight. That'll be all from you. In other news, the Palmer Times has opened up applications for our camera crew. What will you be doing as a camera crewman? Well, you would be recording many of our upcoming shows, one of which is being The Real Firefighters of Ridgeway. This show is going to be a reality TV show based off of The Real Housewives. The Real Firefighters of Ridgeway. Oh my god, I got shot again. I'm gonna hurt this person. Sorry, guys. The only requirements is to have good recording quality and that you send the footage to the appropriate person. We have also opened applications for staff or cast members of the Real Firefighters of Ridgeway. If you are a firefighter, you should definitely sign up for our interest forms in the Ridgeway's new feed, as well as FD announcements in the Palmer Times and FD Discord servers. And for this week's Business of the Week, Sonorous Media. Sonorous Media is the only social media platform that is exclusive to the Rose State community. It allows everyone a free pace to get information, express their opinions. The Palmer Times often uses it to announce things and give quick news updates. We highly suggest making an account and using it regularly. The site has a lot of potential, and you do not want to miss out. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Ridgeway Review for tonight. My name is Just Dapper, and I will see you all next week. In a few minutes, make sure to tune in for the hearing streamed by the Palmer Times. Good night.